Why, hello there everyone. I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. Minasan, konbanwa. Good afternoon or good evening everyone. And this video may be a little bit late, but I've been busy with my personal life and work and that, so I hope you guys understand. But today I'm doing a tarantula feeding video, which is part of my schedule, and honestly, I'm surprised at how soft these takedowns were. I was expecting really aggressive or really great feedings, but I guess the Theraphosa and Pamphobeteus, they don't really want to be aggressive today. But without further ado, let us get straight into it. So this video is pretty much straightforward, so there's not really too much explanation going on, and I have talked about these tarantulas in the past already in my past videos, so I don't want to reiterate it again because then it will become a bit too repetitive for those who have been watching my videos and have been around my channel for a while now. So yeah, so I hope that explains why I don't want to talk about these tarantulas too much, but without further ado, allow me to talk about some subjects and some questions that I have been sent through my emails. And honestly, if you have questions, it wouldn't really necessarily hurt to send them to me. As long as the questions are interesting or very unique, then I will answer those questions. And honestly, I think this question here is pretty interesting. And somebody asked, do you need a big tarantula collection to start tarantula breeding? And in my personal opinion, no. You don't really need a big collection. All you need is to have experience on a certain species or genus that you're interested in. And you have to understand, when you're breeding tarantulas, your collection will grow relatively quickly because of how many offspring an egg sac can have when it comes to tarantulas. You can have 300 baby tarantula slings in one egg sac. So you don't really need a large number in your collection to start tarantula breeding. Because if you're breeding anything, not just tarantulas but reptiles, etc., your collection will slowly grow over time. So honestly, there's no rush in terms of trying to get into tarantula breeding. Just take your time, go at your pace, and before you know it, you're going to have a larger collection than mine. And I betcha, somebody who's watching this may one day become the next big tarantula breeder. Everyone has potential, you never know. I think there might be somebody that might actually pick up after me. So let us wait and see what they become. I do have high hopes for the future for tarantula breeders, but the tarantula market is another thing. So let's keep that for another topic for another video. But you future tarantula breeders are pretty much kind of lucky because you are going to pick up pretty much everything we left off. So all of our mistakes, our info, our care guides, etc., you guys will perfect it over time. With each new generation, they'll bring something new to the hobby. And let's hope that the future generations will bring something positive and something great. As for me, I don't really plan on retiring or giving up on this tarantula hobby just yet, because I really want to perfect breeding Poecilotheria metallica and Theraphosa. Once I get those two genuses down, and maybe Pamphobeteus as well, then maybe I'll consider slowing down tarantula breeding. But as of now, tarantulas is just something I really enjoy as a tarantula breeder, but not as a full-time business just yet. So let's not rush that for a second, okay? Enough with that question and on to another. One other question somebody asked me that I think is kind of subjective or interesting in between, tarantula breeders is conditioning. AKA, do females need a rainy season to prep them up for breeding? In my experience, not necessarily. It really just depends on what we're working with here. I don't think every tarantula species will require a rainy season. It really just depends, honestly, because some tarantula breeders don't really do any conditioning at all. They just breed a female and wait it out for an egg sac, and they have great success. And others, they actually do condition and do rainy seasons and whatnot in their enclosures. Me personally, I'm kind of like a mix of both. I'm somewhere in the middle. And the reason why I'm somewhere in the middle is because there are some times where, there are times when I don't necessarily do a heavy or pretty much any rainy season, just pretty much slightly moist substrate, and I get good results. So I don't want to preach that my way is the right way. And I don't want, everybody taking my word as gospel. So take that what you will, and to each their own in terms of for each tarantula breeder and what they do to, get an egg sac or get their females breeding. And oh boy, when it comes to tarantula breeding, everybody thinks that all tarantula species require the exact same rainy season, etc. conditioning and whatnot, but different species have different care requirements. This is why I find it kind of difficult when somebody asks, how do I breed tarantulas? And honestly, it's going to depend on the species because, yeah, all tarantulas, they don't necessarily have the same conditions. So when somebody asks me, how do I breed tarantulas? You gotta be more specific now because there's like thousands of species of tarantulas out there in this world and hundreds in this hobby. So I don't really know what species you're talking about if you're asking me how to breed tarantulas. So I apologize if my answers are not very thorough. It's just because the questions are not very broad or very specific, that is. And also everyone, there's also a lot of species and a lot of genuses that I have yet to work with. And although I am a tarantula breeder, and although I do have experience breeding tarantulas, there's still a lot I have yet to actually try and breed myself. So sometimes if you ask a question about a certain species, I might not have ever worked with them. So just take that into consideration, everybody. I don't have all the answers. I only know what I've known from, time working with spiders and breeding them myself. But I can assure you though, I do know a lot, maybe too much at times. But yeah, I hope that clarifies some disappointments if people are asking questions constantly about how do I breed tarantulas. You just need to be more specific, and I'm going to be honest, sometimes the species that are mentioned are species that I'm not familiar with, so I might not have the answers for you. And trust me, this pretty much applies to every tarantula breeder. So it's not just me, but the long-term OGs and pretty much everyone that has been in the hobby. It's a never-ending learning experience, I'll tell you that. And I believe that's all the questions as of now, so the questions have been slowing down, so thankfully there's not too many questions to ask because sometimes the questions is very personal to some people, so I can't really answer it, in a video for everyone to see. And sometimes the questions are pretty much self-explanatory that you can easily just Google up through the old forums and whatnot, so I don't really want to focus too much on those type of questions as well. But if it's very specific, then please feel free by all means send me an email about your questions. But without further ado, I guess I'll wrap it up about here for today's video. So without further ado everyone, I'm Laxow, aka the Kumo Sensei. As the typical, like, comment, and subscribe. I upload every single Tuesday and Friday here on the channel, and also support me through my social medias, such as my IG and my Patreon. And with that, stay lax, and Laxow out from the Kumo Sensei.